we are proceeding with our program, and we're having 2 keynote lectures right now. And the first one is by Director Christian Elongué. Yes? I'm Okay, so Cedric, just I'll give you the mic. It's for you.
Thank you.
So you're coming from what country?
I'm coming from Cameroon.
From Cameroon, but you came here from Ghana.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
So you was born in Cameroon and you came here from Ghana.
Yes,
So that's great. Okay, so Cedric is founder of non-commercial organization Muna Kalati, promoting the accessibility and visibility of African children books. And he's also a specialist on African children's literature. He will have his lecture right now. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. It's a real pleasure and honor for me to be here. And I would like first to thank God and also thank the organizing committee and all of you for being here. I know that it's not easy to sit and listen from speeches to speeches to speeches. I hope we are enjoying what we are learning so far. It has been very interesting for me. I've learned a lot, and I really hope that by the end of this presentation that you are also going to learn more about African children literature and why we need more diverse books, not only in Africa, but globally. I hope as you follow me, we are going to start and end the journey together. So the first thing I would like to say is that, there is a myth about reading when it concerns Africa specifically. And I believe if we are honest, are we honest here? Right? If we are honest, we may have heard this myth that if you want to hide a secret to a black or to an African, you can put it to a book. If you have ever heard that, can you raise your hand if you are honest? That if you want to hide a secret or a treasure to a black or an African, you can put it inside a book. Who has ever heard that? No one? You have already heard that. Exactly. And the second myth is that we always believe or sometimes believe that Africans don't read much. That's what we have come to believe sometimes. It is partially true and partially untrue. And the final thing is that many also believe that Africa has a tradition that is mainly oral, but not written, which is not true. We all have went through the oral literature before coming to the written form. So my goal is just to show that, not only that Africans are reading, but that, we are also writing. And there are many books, very interesting books that are being produced for children, but that many are not aware. And my goal here is that as I end my presentation, that your desire to work more with African and diverse children book authors will increase so that we will have more diverse books in the industry. So now, is it possible to love books without loving fun? Or without loving game? I guess all of us here, in our inner being, we always have that childlike attitude. And I sincerely believe that it may be one of the reasons why we came into the field of children literature, because we want, to reconnect with the children and share that joy that we experienced when we were kids. So if that's the case, we are going to have some game, and I hope that we are all going to participate. So the first thing I'm going to ask is, we are all parents and readers here, I guess, right? Exactly. Now, the second thing, I would like each one of you, as we are honest, to stand up if you have ever read a children's book from an American author. If that's your case, kindly stand up, please. A children's book from an American author. Fantastic. Wow. Wow. Very few. Okay. Now, I guess you have noticed how the majority was up. Now, let's continue. Have you ever read a children's book from an Asian author? If that's your case, please stand up again and let's observe. You see, it's decreasing gradually. Okay, let's continue. Have you ever read a book from a Latino author? Spanish? Wow, okay, fantastic. But I can see that the number is decreasing gradually. And finally, have you ever read a book from an African author, a children's book? A children's book from an African author. Okay, I guess it is obvious that children's literature from Africa is not globally represented. We can see it through our various experiences and testimony. And it also means that if you have not yet read that much, maybe your kids or what you are doing also has not been influenced by that. Now, is there anyone here who can name 3 authors of children's books from Africa? That's a challenge. Who can take up the challenge? No one. Wow. You see, it speaks a lot. It speaks a lot. And then you need to follow me to know how you can change this dynamic. Would you like to try? Yes. I have some participants. Okay.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, they are my friends are Egyptian.
We are Egyptian, so we are African.
Yes.
So we can tell you many books from Africa.
Go on.
Okay.
Yes. Just name 3.
كامل كيلاني
كامل كيلاني
عبد التواب يوسف صلاح جاهين
Yeah, we can tell you a lot.
Let's clap for them, please. But as you have noticed, they were able to do it because they were African. Does it mean that African children's literature is not read out of Africa? Do you see that? So let's follow. And now the other thing is it easy for you to find children's books in bookshops or in your library from Africa, or diverse children's books from Africa? Yesterday I had the opportunity of going into one of the children's book publisher in Russia, and I don't want to mention the name, but I sadly noticed that they were not having children's books from Africa. And if one of the leading children's book publisher in Russia is not having enough, I guess what will be for the rest? So now you may ask me, why is it important? Why is it important to read diverse children's books? And here I can share my own experience. I grew up in Cameroon in a town called Banga, and when I was there, most of the books I read, do you know where they were coming from? Can you guess? As a francophone. France, exactly. France and Belgium. So I read books like Super Picsou Géant, I read books like Blake Le Roc. I've read a lot of books coming from abroad, but very few coming from Cameroon. Sometimes I remember the teacher will be teaching in class, he's in front, he's teaching, and I'm just behind, and I'll have my book in the table, and I'll be reading. When he will turn back, I'll just close it and do as if I was listening. I love reading, and that's why I am here today. But what has been the impact of those reading practices? Whenever someone was asking me, Christian, what are the 3 cities that you would like to go in the world? France, Brussels, and foreign country were always coming number 1. Not even one African country. Why? Because what we read influences how we think. And as the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so he become. The way we think influences what we become in the future. So the books that we read influence our destiny. That's why it's critical. And that's why I sincerely believe that one of the causes of illegal immigration today could be linked to the books that those people are being exposed. When you are cultivated in an environment, all what you see, all what you imbibe, all what you learn is externally oriented. It's natural that when you have the means, you'll be willing to also go out to see what you have read, to experience what you have seen in the books. So one way of reducing fear, one way of reducing war in the world is through books, by influencing the way people think. That's why children's literature is very, very important. But when we come into the African context, as we notice, there is a problem. Of more than 5,000 books, do you know that only 1% represent contemporary African or American people? 1% contemporary. Most of the time, when there are even black people, there are stereotypes that are being reproduced. Also, each year, there are more children books published about animals than black children or black people. And black people continue to be underrepresented, misrepresented, or even being invisible in general. And this less progressive attitude will be reproduced in the real world. What does it mean? That if we don't change this dynamic, we will end up acting as such. And the end goal is usually fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of what we cannot control. Many people are fear of Latino, of Islamic people, because they have never experienced them. I remember in 2015, before going to Egypt, my mother was afraid. She was telling me, my son, what are you going to do in Egypt? Can you not cancel that opportunity? I said, no, mommy, I have to go. She said, what I see on TV concerning Islamic people is really scary. When you get there, just stay into your room after work. Don't go out, just stay there. I said, mommy, I'm not going in jail. So I got in Egypt. I spent 2 years in Egypt, and it was wow. It's one of the marvelous experiences that I ever had in my life. I love Muslim people. I realized that what is being projected in the media is not what we see on the ground, because I've experienced it. So when we don't expose children to different children books, those fears will still be ingrained in them from childhood as they grow up. So we are going to explore the African children industry from 5 pillars. We know in the book industry, we have 5 key pillars. The first one is at the level of creation. We have author, those who are producing books. We have listened to some of them here. The second level is at those who are producing, fabricating. We have publishers. The third level is those who are distributing. We have bookshops and all those who are into that field. The fourth level is at the level of the reception, those who are criticizing, teaching, and also ensuring that those books are being valorized. And the fifth level is at the level of the consumption, where we have the reader, the parents, the family, and all that. So we are going to look at those 5 dimensions from an African perspective. So, as you can see, we will look at uncertain borders, the fact that it's quite difficult to know, I know it's in Africa, but also globally, who is an African children author or not. You know, sometimes there is this, I think our friend Bart has presented it here, that sometimes when you are a children book author, it looks like if you are a small author, or as if you are not that smart as others who are writing for adults. So there is a kind of ghetto. We also look at how in Africa, most of the books that are read by children are those who are in the curriculum, academic reading, which is actually an issue, and we are trying to change that. And the lack of visibility of most of African children books authors. So the first pillar, the level of creation, we look at authors. Do you know that there are more children book authors in Africa than we may think? Do you know that? I remember in 2015, when I started this journey of researching about children's literature, I wanted to know, like, you know, since I grew up without knowing many children book authors, do they really exist? And if yes, how many? And I was amazed at what I found. But I had to go to the National Library of France, of Paris, in France, to notice that there are many children books authors that exist, but their books are not visible on the local market. Do you know why? Because most of the time, they are not able to sell those books in the country. So it is more in the diaspora that they have a market. But there are many children book authors that exist from Africa. The second thing is that gradually, there are more incentives that are being created. Government have taken awareness of the needs of promoting children's literature, and they are doing so gradually. It's marvelous, and we hope that things will continue that way. There is greater collaboration. One of the goals of Muna Kalati, and a network that I founded in 2017, is to facilitate connection between African children book authors, publishers, and professionals in Africa and also abroad. And the last thing is that most authors are unknown or ghettoized, as I've said. So the one you see here is Christian Ipanya. Who has ever heard about him? Christian Ipanya. He was in the nominating list for the Christian Andersen Prize, and he didn't make it, but at least he was nominated. That's a step forward, because such cases usually happen very few. And here we have Meshach Asare, who is a Ghanaian children book author, very popular, you know, and he has written very fantastic books who have been globally awarded. Here you see Kidi Bebe, who is also from Cameroon, and she has written a lot. Here you see Mizuni Banani, who has won the prize, the Shezek Children Book Literature Award. You know, I believe he's from Tunisia. So these are just few among many that I'm sure that when you will discover their work, you will be amazed and you will want to know more. The next thing we'll be looking at is at the level of the publishing. You know, most publishing, there is this challenge of publishing in local languages to interest people who are locally in the country. The second thing is the cost of quality children books. It's quite expensive to produce a quality book because at the end, parents may not be able to afford when the book has been very well produced. And government also are not that much supportive in reducing tax to facilitate import of book production material. We have now digital opportunities to overcome the distribution challenge. And finally, the publishing imperialism. Maybe this is a reality that you may not be aware of, but in Francophone Africa, most of the books that are in the education curriculum are books that are printed in Europe from French publishers. So most of the local book publishers don't have enough economic return from what they are selling because they are not in the academic program. And as book publisher, we know that there is a huge benefit when your books are being sold or are being used in the educational curriculum. So they are missing that opportunity. And here we see some initiative for those who are interested. The first one is Nali Bali. They are in South Africa and they are doing an amazing work in the field. The second one is the Edition Akomamba. They are in Cameroon, only specialized on children's book literature. The third one is Edition Bakame. They are in Rwanda. And the last one is Sub-Saharan Publishers. They are in Ghana. The third level is at the level of the distribution, a difficult access to children's books. Not just children's books, but books in general is difficult. You know, and one of the solutions that are working actually is mobile library. So we have the mobile library project in South Africa, for those who are interested. We have Valise de Livre in the Francophone space. Basically, this is how it works, you know, such type. That's what is easing the access of books to students, and also like this. So, for example, in some Francophone country, knowing that it's difficult to have access or to have a library in the school, they will put books in such mall, and it will be moving from one class to another. So after a class has finished reading the books, they will shift it to the next class and so on. And there are many like that who are moving across the school to ensure that children have an easy access to those books. Now, at the level of the reception, you know, we have more specialized. In the past, it was very difficult to find, for example, researchers who are only specialized on children's literature, but now it is increasing. You know, we have Praesa in South Africa. I believe you may have heard about them. And we have Muna Kalati, my institution, who are promoting research on African children literature. And we also have more literary awards that are being created. You know, one of them, for example, is the Golden Baobab Prize. It encouraged publishing by children books authors from Africa. And we have also Puku, who is also encouraging and working in that field. And finally, the Mabati Cornell Kishwaeli Prize. They are encouraging the writing of books in African languages or the translation of books from a modern language, from a European language to an African language. At the level of the reading, the consumer or the reader, we have a lot of more opportunities. And I'm sure you'll be interested by what you will see. For first, there are several reading centers who have been created. Second, there is a greater awareness from parents. More parents are aware that, yes, we need to buy books to our children. And we at the level of Muna Kalati, some of the things that we have observed is that there are more parents who are coming towards us to ask, can I offer a book to my kids? Which book? You know, the number of reviews that we have published on our website has increased. So the interest is increasing. So let me show you some initiatives that are thriving in Africa currently. We have Okada Book is in Nigeria. They publish books from Nigeria primarily and also abroad. They have a digital app. So all this, they are digital app basically to facilitate access to reading. We have Read Along, which is more popular in Northern Africa. We have Kelo Books. We have Run a Fire in South Africa. We have Self-Publish with Africa Read. We have Afrocomics. Afrocomics is very interesting. It is an app that allows people to upload their comics, basically, and to sell it on the platform and receive a remuneration. We have BookBeat also, which is quite trending. We have BookDash. BookDash also is from South Africa. And the amazing or unique component with BookDash is that it is a volunteer project. So they are allowing people to write stories or to write illustration and to publish it on the platform, and it's accessible for freely through an app. And finally, we have African Story, africanstorybook.org. Very interesting initiative that are thriving and which need to be supported. So now, I'm going to show you specifically what Muna Kalati is doing in that regard of children literature. The first thing is we do book review. Many parents want to know which book is good for my child. Where can I get it? So we provide them with that information. We also organize workshop events. Recently in August, we had an event in Cameroon on how to promote reading for pleasure with many kids at the Alliance Franco-Camerounaise. We also do research. Personally, my primary area is as a researcher. And finally, we are looking forward and advocating for the integration of children literature in the education curriculum. Because maybe in Russia, in Europe, there are universities with specific field on children literature. But in Africa, it's not that much. There are very few centers of research on children literature as a field. There are very teachers who are specialized on children literature. And my goal is to ensure that in the next 5 to 10 years, it will change. And we also publish a magazine, Muna Kalati magazine. Now, some of the challenges that we face is having access to children's book, the financial sustainability channel. As you know, if you are an entrepreneur in the book industry, I can tell you, you don't expect to make money out of it. Most of us, as you know, is out of passion that we are working in this industry. It doesn't pay. So we work with a team of volunteers to overcome this and an active pool of English contributors. Now, what next? What can we do? What can we do? We are going to look at it at two perspectives. Things that we can do together and things that we can do individually. So institutionally and individually. Institutionally, we can create more funds dedicated to co-publishing, to translation and mobility projects. We can do that. It's possible. Secondly, we can institutionalize and strengthen the use of children's book in educational program. Thirdly, we can organize events with prize around children literature to stimulate creation. The second is, from Africa, it's important to adopt international production standard. It's very key. It's not because a book is produced from Africa that it must be of lesser quality. We need to leverage on digital technology, review the pedagogical approaches that we are using to reading. Most of the time, reading is being taught in a classroom. You will see a teacher, he is here, the students are there, many, and he is teaching, generally. He's not having a one-to-one approach with the kids, and usually it just gets boring. And we have co-publishing in solidarity and bibliodiversity. Now, conclusion. There's an African proverb. I don't know if it exists or if I'm the one who have created it, but it basically says that, the strength of any tree is in the roots. Your strength, as you are here now, lie in the foundations of the education that you have received from your parents. What you have become, your choices, your behavior, your attitude, is the outcome of that education. And children's books are fundamental to develop a lasting reading culture in Africa. And thirdly, as you facilitate access to diverse children's books, you are directly contributing to promote peace. Nowadays, we see a lot of fears, a lot of violence on TV and all around us, a lot of rejection and all that. But we, as agents of education through books, we can contribute in it by making sure that the truth about other culture is being promoted, is being accessed across nations. And we can do it. So that's what we can do institutionally. Now, what can we do individually? What can you do as an individual? The first thing is to understand that change is the fruit of a choice, of commitment, and of consistency. So it's possible if you apply these 3 rules. The second thing is that let's offer children books to our children. You know, I always say that many people like to preach, but very few people like to practice. And we may also know that wisdom is not taught, but wisdom is caught. Wisdom is, we get wisdom through experience. We get wisdom through seeing it as an example into someone. So as we encourage our children to read diverse books, we must also have an open-minded attitude towards foreigners and many others. Let's be adventurous. Many of us, we have fears of how those collaborations can go, but let's be adventurous. Let's increase collaboration with children books authors, with publishers. I am here for those of you who would like to enter in connection with them. I can facilitate the connection. I know many children book authors from Africa, publishers and all that. Let's be adventurous and, you know, let's increase the number of children books in our collection. So no matter where you are, either you are in Asia, Europe, North America, West America, or anywhere in the world, you can do something. You just take a choice, a commitment, and consistency, knowing that wisdom is not taught. Wisdom is caught. Let's stop preaching what others must do, and let's do it. So thank you so much for your attention. I hope that the journey was interesting, and I look forward to your questions about African children literature. Thank you.
Thank you, Cedric. Thank you. Let's start being adventurous, but we have one more comment from Jihan Hello. Yeah, I'll come to you. We have a comment for her.
Yeah, thank you for this very interesting
Thank you.
presentation. I would like to tell you something that Meshach Asar has been translated in Palestine, the Brassman Secrets. And we were together in Sweden when he was nominated for the Astrid Lindgren for the Alma.
Wow.
And I was representing Tamer, who got the Alma later on. Unfortunately, he didn't get it. Also, with our limited means in Palestine, also many books were translated from South Africa, etc. Of course, I think the main problem of translation, not only African books, Arabic books,
Exactly.
is that it has to go into English. If you find the book in English, then it becomes worldwide known and gets translated. But if it is in the local language, it doesn't have. Najib Mahfouz, who got the Nobel Prize, I think was translated either before, very briefly, or after. So I think we should tell the world to translate from the original languages. We should promote translation, or else all this beautiful, beautiful literature will not reach the international community. In addition to your other
Thank
comments.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So more translation. Any other question? Okay.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you.